Hi everybody, and welcome back to Suburban Homesteader Wyoming, Arizona. This is Sandy, and I am sitting by some potatoes that are in pots. And these actually are from shed wars that I pruned. I'm going to prune because of the foliage getting so high. Now, why do I do that? And I'm not only going to prune these, I'm going to prune them all over at the community garden that I've been growing since, I think I planted them in the ground May 20th. And the reason why I do this is that I will get more potatoes by doing this. And what I'm looking for, I'm going to do it just above a notch, a node. And I'll show you some close-up pictures on what I do and why I do it. It helps with airflow. It helps if I have a bug issue, I can always find the bugs in there. But mostly it helps to make bigger potatoes. And I started doing this, gosh, years ago. Maybe 5, 6 years ago, maybe longer than that. And a gal I met did an experiment. She had 2 50-foot rows of potatoes. Same potato, same soil, same watering system. One of the rows, in the middle of July, she cut in half. And just, you know, I don't fertilize after it gets to July for my potatoes either because I don't want too much foliage. I want all the energy going to the potatoes. She had way more potatoes in that cut row than she did when she just let the foliage go wherever it wanted to. And so I started doing it the next year. Actually, that year that I talked to her, because it was in February when I talked to her. And I've done it ever since. It is fabulous. Now, if you cut it, will it start to grow again? Of course it will. But it won't be as much as if you didn't cut it. So let's cut some. Okay, so I'm going to just push back some foliage. And I'm looking for nodes. And that's where like a little side branch will come off. And I'm going to cut right above it. And on every single one of these plants, or stems, because it came from the same potato, I'm going to cut that. And I'm literally going to make it at least in half. Sometimes I'll cut it all the way down and it looks like about a third there is only left. And it really just depends on the amount of foliage that I can see on the potatoes. And I know it's like giving it a haircut. It's like yesterday's video when I was pruning the zucchini and pruning the squash. But it will really stimulate the plant or the potato production, and that's what I want. And I just take my time. Now, any place that it has these nodes, it's really actually going to send a sucker, what we would consider a sucker up, which a lot of times on potatoes and tomatoes people just break off. But that will become what, if I was thinking it in fruit tree terms, a central leader. And so I just go through and cut those all off. We're about halfway done. So this half has been cut and this half hasn't been. And I'm going about halfway down. And I'll show you when I get it all trimmed up, plus the one next door. So we have that all cut. And as you can see, I cut at nodes. And see where there's that little growth? It will come right from that. And that's why I like to do it right by the node, because of that little growth that's there. And as you can see, it is a good haircut. Now I'm doing this in the middle of the afternoon, only because up here is an umbrella. And it really protects it for the hot afternoon sun. And I use that umbrella for the bees over there. I mean, they're not in the shade yet, but they will be later when it's really the hottest part of the day. But just like the squashes getting pruned yesterday, the potatoes have a haircut. So now we're over at the community garden, and as you can see, the community garden always has flea beetles. And so that's what the little holes are, and I put some diatomaceous earth. But I'm just gonna go down, cut above those nodes, and I will actually put all of that in my compost pile. There's nothing wrong with those plants right now. There's no disease or anything. Even though they're a nightshade, I'm just throwing in my compost pile. And I'm gonna go all around the rim of that part of the garden, because there's potatoes all the way around there. And I will just go through and cut those plants in half. And it'll give a lot of strength to the plants. And you can see I started that row, and I'm going to go around the corner and all the way around. Now this is just a quick look at this part of the garden. The pumpkins are going crazy, the peas, the beans are growing, the tomatoes are growing. I just couldn't be happier. It has just really been a good garden season so far. And this is 1/3 of my garden plot over there. And I really like the potatoes surrounding this part. Well, I hope you thought that was interesting. Try it on some of your potatoes. If you're questioning it at all, just do a little section of them. Try it. See how many more potatoes you get on the ones that you cut. Now usually it's not till the middle of July that I cut them. But our weather this year has not been what it usually is in June. You know, usually we're just so rainy in June, but we have had some rain, but we haven't had, you know, the temperatures haven't been the same. It has been very warm, and that's changed the cycle of the potatoes growing. In fact, over the community garden, there were lots of them that were flowering already, which were just regular ones that I usually do that shouldn't flower until the end of July. But I cut those all off because I want the energy to go to the potatoes. So with this Shed Wars update, because this is one of the challenges, buying something from the store, cutting it, or excuse me, buying something from the store, planting it, and seeing what the produce is that you get. And I did organic little tiny potatoes. And I have a couple different kinds in here. There's some purple, there's some white, and then there's some regular like yellow, like a Yukon. As always, like, subscribe, share with the world, and I will see you next time. And go Team Aquarius.